tough act to follow, Jason. That was amazing. But I do. We are interested in the same shit, I would say. I'm just going to pitch it at a different level. Yeah, that was great. So yeah, I ran the reading series, I think, from 2004 to 2006. I was the second person to run it, I think, and Jeff and I were trying to sort of track. I guess you're the fifth guy then to do it. Back then we were a little bit down the street, and in this sweaty little kind of bowling alley type space, and it was a really great gig. Did any of you go to the reading series when it was over there? Have any of you been going to the reading series for like years and years? I know some of you have read in it like a long time ago. Yeah, it was kind of a wild experience and a lot of fun. And so it's really special for me to come back and read to you. And thanks to Jeff for inviting me and for you for coming out. I'm going to read a poem about living in Bernal. It's sort of like a self-portrait of the artist as a young man. I wasn't that young, really. And the dude in the poem is just a little bit more of a loser than I was when I was stalking these streets up and down Portland. It's called California Clouds. You were never young. You knew it each morning when the light pulled its gauze from some carefully selected part of your body, ankle, chin, and you felt, in view of that great reaching mist dissolving inland like a blow-up doll, bitten too hard by its lover. Yes! I was hoping I was going to get on that. Then you staggered through fog to follow the rules of the coffee house, only an hour in the socket. Saw kids on bikes accompanied on Bernal Hill, until the gab inside Progressive Grounds winked your eyes alive. The crow-haired barista with the cherub tattoo was saying, up there by the tower is where the coyote lives. She'd seen it. All the cats on alert. You still want to know how it happened, howling about so much domestic life, inside it, gravel and tasted bait. Oh, grovel, oh, flatbed lovers and kids climbing hand over fist. They pencil in the slated sky and kink the chains of time. You never shun safety. When you tasted it for the first time, sake tasted like living. Let's move to the third person point of view, as it's clearer. He returned, deleted, returned. Bills racked up. Women thought he was something of a limp fish. He never finished his masterpiece titled Self-Portrait as a crucible of style. Mirrors he hated, weeks of slinking, and when he hiked the hill and found the coyote with 2 holes in its side, he cried for its howling, that creature, his low cortege of clouds. So, there was a coyote that was living up on top of Bernal Hill when I was living here. It died, yeah. The guy finds it, but I didn't find it. But I didn't believe it at first, and my roommate told me about it, and I made some sort of stupid wager, like a 6-pack of beer, and then like a week later he brought home the paper, and it was like, there's a picture of it, of the coyote like up on the hill, and I just didn't even think this was possible. So no coyotes now. The new thing is coywolves. Have you heard of the coywolf? The wolves and coyotes are breeding together, and creating this new species, and they're like even bolder. And basically, you hide your lapdogs and cats, because coywolves will be living in your backyard soon, probably. So I left here and I moved to North Carolina, and which was different, but manageable, doable, fun, interesting. What was difficult was moving to the suburbs. And there are a number of poems that I think are trying to discuss the despair of this decision of mine to move to the suburbs. And so if you live here, don't do what I did. The suburbs in North Carolina are very different than the suburbs of California, I suspect. So I'm going to read a few. There are 5 or 6 of these poems. I'm just going to read a few of them, and that'll be that probably. So this is the first one. It's more nostalgic and sweet. But then it gets more complicated after that. Dear suburb, I'm not interested in sadness. Just a yard as elder earth, a library of sunflowers battered by the night's rain. When sliced wide, halved at dawn, I see how you exist, oh satellite town. Your bright possibility born again in drywall and the diary with a trick lock. For years I slept with my window cracked open, wanting screen-cut threads of rain. Blind suburb, dear untruth, you who already know what I mean when I praise every spared copse, you are my battery, my sad clue. But after I mowed the lawn and watched the robins chesting for seeds, I couldn't resist what hung in the tool shed, where, with a pair of garden shears, I cut all the hair from my arms. That need, that scared need to whiten or clean a surface, plywood or lawn, and the spy wall behind which I stood, stock still and sinned against the fly's flyness. Though you live inside me, though you laid eggs in the moisture at the corners of my eyes, I still dream about your sinking empire 20 feet above sea level, and the many things you fail to see, beautiful bleached gas can, tomato posts bent into art, how half of a butterfly, cut crosswise, still looks like a butterfly, etc. I thought I was being so cool by ending a poem in 7. I was the first dude that had ever done this. And then like 2 weeks later, I was reading a Robert Hass poem that I loved. Of course, he'd done it. And then someone pointed out that another poet I loved had done it. And we're always just stealing. Here's another Dear Suburb poem. A little darker. Dear Suburb, must you tremble when cars trap shadows, or when the neighborhood's apricots, terribly bitter, fall on the lawn at night? Like the vine and the trellis, I want to hug you from behind the way a friend surprises a friend. Awake beneath my bedspread, the stars' crooked branches, I also need the calm of a child's boxed beach. We've carved our feathers to the smallest shavings, our hairs grow gray. Something yet lives wild in our nettled dens. The dead return as lampposts, gas guzzlers, gnats frenzied in a laptop's moonish glow. Said another way, there's something fraught about this night that knows our whereabouts, its weight pressing down on us. Wake up, wake up. So just don't move there. It's so impressive. So quiet and peaceful and white and calm, and you're never going to be woken up in the middle of the night. It's just awful. It is. Dear Silver, my sister told me this is the saddest poem in the book. She told me this about a week ago. I was bracing myself because I didn't know which poem she was talking about. She said it's this one. Dear Silver, just once I'd like to come home to find that you've scattered the pieces of a saxophone all over my bed. You should have seen the draft that was like a 100-line poem. And I went through like 40 drafts, and then my wife said, yeah, that's kind of a poem, those last few lines. Okay. A 3-line poem. I'm just going to read 2 more of these, and then I'll step aside here. Dear Suburb, this one's a little lighter on its feet, I think. What happened to the golden rule among all your shining objects? These daisies and grills, these bikes, even the dog turd dropped on my lawn, hidden by a few measly stalks. You've made me afraid to touch clovers and my wife's hidden hooks, and, most sadly, the woolen hats on my neighborhood's children, which in winter are bright fruit. The next time you text me, I'll be high on magnolia pollen and munching chips near the bluebird house, amazed I can thrive here so close to a city's lost eminence, where you bring a golden stillness to everything I touch, where I go whole years without suffering so much as a splinter. Finally, at some point, I didn't realize this was going to happen. At some point, the suburbs have to talk back, right? And that happens in the last one, and it's sort of a resolution. And I borrowed something from the Sacha Baron Cohen character Bernal. When he'll interview someone and they'll say, and then you said, and then she said, and then you said, so that you said, and he should, back and forth, like that's somehow like the structure of this poem. It's not nearly as funny as Huckleberry, but I realized the back and forth I borrowed from watching a lot of stuff. Dear Suburb, when I say my porch is low and wide, I mean it's barely a porch. Hacking out roses growing around it, I say there's enough flush here for a vase. But you say, wait until the shade of red Gauguin dreamed when he painted children before smearing their faces. And I say, what about the two men in the rusted van trawling this neighborhood for kids? And you say, we need shocks of goldenrod, shocks of crow, and besides, it does no good to pray for some gleaming day when a bird will land on you like a catkin. And then you remind me of the glory of a city on a hill, which I've tried in 8 different ways to refute. And you say we both want a hornet at the center of a screen, and then I confess, as if you give a damn, that I love in fact your highways and lawns, these raw lots developers bought for a song. Thank you.
David, Roderick, everyone, please pick up a copy of the directions on the way out. Let's get our next reader.
That's you. Yeah.